See. All right. Let me get this. I am recording on one and my slides are on another. So this should be really exciting. You guys know how much I love slides if you've ever come to one of my trainings before. And the amount I love slides is I don't love slides, but I think they're important for here. So we are going to get through this together today. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, I built multiple six-figure months in a super calm way. And what I learned really quickly is this: making money is never going to be the hard part. Holding it is. And I don't even mean keeping it. I mean being somebody who can make that amount of money is hard. A couple years ago, I made $87,000 in a 24-hour period, and I had a complete nervous breakdown. And that's when I really realized, like, people need this training because, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but the reality is the nervous system shifts must come before the money, or you're going to have a problem. Okay. And so making money is not the hard part, holding it is. I got really, really intentional about studying capacity, right? Studying the physiologically and psychologically and structurally, and what actually allows someone to sustain income growth without chaos. Now, part of what I'm going to be discussing tonight includes a business I started in October. Many of you know, and many of you are part of it, called Legal Shield. And I want to be transparent and upfront about that, because what I found I've done these trainings for years, this wealth building training, nervous system training, how to be rich, how to make money. Many of you have been to lots of those. But what I found is that Legal Shield is one of the most inexpensive ways to upgrade your life infrastructure that I've ever seen. I used to use the example of underwear. Okay, we're at a different level now. So we're going to go deep into nervous system regulation, identity, and capacity today. And I'm going to show you how to structure, including access to legal services, plays into that, right? You need to understand how it plays into that. But this isn't some kind of pitch training or even a pitch, really. But I think it's important to discuss. So this is about preparing you to increase your income the right way. And if you're serious about growth, then this conversation seriously matters. Most people say they want more money, but what they actually want is the idea of money, because no one talks about what's going to happen to your nervous system when your income actually increases. When your income jumps dramatically, your visibility also increases. Your responsibility increases, your risk increases, your expectations increase. And your body does not interpret that as success, it interprets it as change. The nervous system hates sudden change, period. If you're not prepared internally, you will sabotage this externally. Today isn't about how to make more money. It's about how to become the person who can safely hold more money. So I want to talk about something that no one is going to prepare you for. What actually happens when your income increases? Because most people in this room, drop a yes if you want more money. Drop a yes in the comments. I'm not looking at the comments. So if you're asking questions, I'm not looking at them right now, or I'm going to get completely sidetracked. We're going to be here till like 6 p.m. And I actually want to go get a bite to eat. So I don't know about y'all, but I want to get through this. Okay. So drop a yes if you want more money. The truth is, though, wanting more money and being prepared to hold more money, having the capacity to hold more money, are two totally, completely different things. I remember when my income jumped fast. That day I had an $87,000 day. Everyone else celebrated, but internally I started checking my phone more. I started watching numbers. I started thinking about maintaining it. I started feeling responsible for it. And I realized something really uncomfortable, that it wasn't about money. It was about capacity. When you make more, you have more to lose. And if your nervous system does not feel safe at that level, you will unconsciously shrink it back. Let me ask you something honestly. If your income doubled next month, would you actually stay calm? If you made $100,000 next month, would you actually stay calm? Sounds fun, but if you've never done it, you're going to have to trust me on what will actually happen internally to your body. Or do you think you might start checking your phone more? Would you start thinking about how to maintain this money? Would you feel pressure to prove that it wasn't luck? This is where most people collapse. Not because they aren't capable, but because they aren't regulated. Most people are not limited by opportunity. There's opportunity everywhere. If you live in the United States, there's gold in these streets, okay? Opportunities come to you all the time. Now, whether you're someone who takes them or doesn't take them, that's a whole other training and a whole different discussion. But opportunity is everywhere. Most people are limited by the size of their nervous system. And when income expands faster than identity, and this happens at every level, this doesn't have to be, oh, I make $100,000 a month. Sometimes I see this in my business when people make their first $100. Okay, their system goes into fight or flight. When income expands faster than identity, the body constricts. And when the body constricts, people create chaos. So if you're serious about increasing your income, you have to increase your capacity first. Today isn't going to be about hype. It's going to be about becoming the kind of person who can hold more without breaking. That's leadership. You guys, a lot of you guys are always asking me like, Melissa, how can you do so much? How can you hold so much? I'm explaining it to you today. I went through this process. I walked through this process, and my survival, okay, it's my testimony. And so I have a master's degree in this because I have done it, and I've done it multiple times. I've done it and screwed it all up, and I've done it and held onto it in a peaceful way where I have a ton of capacity. I operate 3 multi-million-dollar businesses all at the same time. And I'm just telling you what that takes is increasing capacity. Here's how this usually shows up. And this is where I'm going to probably confront you a little bit. When your income expands faster than your nervous system can regulate, you start creating explanations. You tell yourself that it was just you're tired, or you tell yourself you're overwhelmed. We hear it in the MLM industry all the time. Oh, I'm just burned out. I have PTSD. You tell yourself something must be wrong. Some of you even start convincing yourselves that you're physically sick. Your sleep changes, your heart feels like it's racing, you feel on edge, and instead of recognizing it as expansion, you label it as dysfunction. And then what you do, you pull back, you slow down, and you shrink to feel safe again. Now listen carefully. Not everything is a nervous system issue. Obviously, I know physical issues exist, but I see this all the time in coaching high level, high impact, specifically women. But many high achievers mistake expansion systems for breakdown. When responsibility increases, your system becomes like more alert. That alertness is not a weakness, it's recalibration. Where I see people fail all the time is that they convince themselves that it's a weakness and they don't recognize it as recalibration. And if you don't understand that recalibration, you're absolutely going to sabotage growth every single time. Here's where most people misinterpret what's happening. They think I'm overwhelmed, I'm burnt out, I'm anxious, I'm sick. But what's actually happening is this. Your nervous system is adjusting to a new level of exposure and responsibility. If you shrink here, your income will shrink with you. If you regulate here, your income will stabilize. When your income increases rapidly, your environment is going to change. And your nervous system responds to environmental change the same way it responds to threat, like fight or flight. Not because it's bad. And here's where the problem comes in, okay? Because other people around you will be like, why are you acting like this? You said you wanted to make $50,000 a month and you just started making $60,000 a month. Or you said you wanted to make an extra $500 a month. Why are you reacting like this? Other people looking in from the outside will be part of the problem, okay? Your nervous system is not doing this because it's bad. It's doing it because it's new. And then what you start doing in your own head is, what the hell is wrong with me? What kind of a selfish, horrible person am I? I'm getting everything I want and I'm still not happy. There's something wrong with me. This is why I say in trainings all the time, if you actually got everything you wanted tomorrow, you would screw it all up because you're not ready. You're not ready. You have to take action first to create this space. Here's what's happening physiologically. Your brain increases vigilance, which creates a cortisol rise, adrenaline rises. This is physiology. It's happening inside your body. It is real. You probably have people around you telling you it's not real. It is real. It's physiologically happening to you. Your system becomes more alert. And that alertness, it feels like anxiety. but it's not necessarily anxiety. Often it's activation. When cortisol increases, your sleep can change. And when adrenaline increases, your heart rate can feel elevated. When vigilance increases, you check your phone more. That does not automatically mean you're sick. It does not automatically mean that you're burnt out. It means your body is trying to recalibrate to a higher level of responsibility. If you interpret activation as danger, you'll pull back. If you don't learn to recognize what this is, you'll pull back. If you interpret activation as expansion, you'll regulate and stabilize. That's the shift. This is where high achievers lose momentum. They misdiagnose expansion as breakdown. They think something's wrong. They start Googling symptoms. They get on WebMD. Next thing you know, they're getting 45 blood tests. They're at the doctor. They're getting new medication. They start questioning their capacity. Sometimes they make themselves physically ill. They shrink. But wealthy people understand something different. And it's really important that you learn this before you go create the income increase. When the body activates, wealthy people don't panic. They regulate. They recognize it. They know what it is. They've seen it before and they've regulated before. They build structure. They increase protection. They increase support. They don't retreat. Let that sit for a minute. Because expansion always comes with activation. So if you're going to increase your income, you're going to have activation and you're going to react to it one way or the other. You're either prepared or you're not prepared. Activation is not a signal to stop. It's a signal to stabilize. There's a predictable pattern that happens when income increases quickly, okay? And if you don't understand the pattern, you're going to misinterpret it when it happens. We're going to walk through the 4 phases and you can see which one you've lived in. This is the exciting part, right? This is the part we all actually think we want and think it will stay in. You close the deal, the numbers are rising, the volume's up, you feel sharp, you have ideas, you move fast. This is dopamine, and dopamine feels powerful. But dopamine is not stability. Expansion feels incredible, but it's temporary chemistry, and chemistry always corrects. And that's when phase 2 hits. Constriction. This is where the recalibration begins. This is where you either win or you lose everything. Sleep starts to get lighter. You wake up thinking about the business. You feel alert. You feel responsible. Some of you start thinking something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Your nervous system is adjusting to a new responsibility level. This is the moment where most people misinterpret expansion as stress. And then we have self-sabotage. If you're not ready to identify what's happening and your nervous system is not prepared for it, this is 100% what you will do. And if you really think about it, you look around, like a lot of you that have been in the MLM industry, look around at leaders it was real weird when one left. Did you notice signs like this? Because, everybody wants to answer why they left. They make up a story, they come up with a story, but very often, this is what it is. It was self-sabotage. This phase is subtle. It does not look dramatic. It looks like small decisions. They start arguing. You start distracting yourself. You start spending in ways that don't make sense. You avoid the big moves because chaos feels familiar. When peace feels unfamiliar, people create chaos. This is where income collapses. But the good news is there's a 4th phase. If you can get here, integration. This is what wealthy people do different. This is what they know how to do so they can expand and expand and expand multiple times. Now, for me, I had to learn this lesson multiple times in my life. I had to have expansion, screw it all up, have another expansion, screw it all up, have another expansion, screw it all up to get to the point where I understood what was actually happening, the patterns happening in my life, so that I could get to integration. Wealthy people don't retreat. They integrate. They build structure. They tighten contracts. They increase protection. They clean up loose ends. They stabilize. Integration is how income becomes identity. This is where expansion becomes baseline. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes, and probably many of you on here are making. They chase the income shift. They chase the strategy, They chase the opportunity and they wait for expansion to force them to grow. That, my friends, is backwards. And I'm glad that you're here hearing this, and I hope that you take some of the action steps I give you. If you want to increase your income sustainably, you have to build the capacity before the income jump happens. The fastest way to increase your income is not to chase more tactics. It's to expand your nervous system's ability to hold more. I'm going to say that again to you as I need you to hear it. Write this down. The fastest way to increase your income is not to chase more tactics. It's to expand your nervous system's ability to hold more. Many of you are already in an opportunity. You don't need to go chase the next shiny thing. You don't need a new funnel. You don't need a new system. You don't need a new approach. You don't need a new way. You probably don't even need 10,000 new followers. You probably first need to expand your nervous system's ability to hold more. When your system feels safe at a higher level, you stop leaking opportunity. You stop shrinking. You stop misdiagnosing expansion as breakdown, and income rises to match your capacity. This is how wealthy people scale calmly. If you prepare your body, your identity, and your structure before the income shifts, the income shift will feel more normal when it comes. That's the actual secret. Most people build income first, and by the way, that's why they lose it. I'm sure you can think of someone in your life that you know or you follow online that has built something really big and then lost it. And many of those people, I talk to them every day, many of those people can't figure out how to get it back. And they're making decisions in fear-based mentality. And the reason they're making decisions in fear-based mentality is because when they had it before, it was scary because they didn't build the capacity to hold it. And then they lost it, which, by the way, losing it is way more worse than dealing with the capacity. Okay, I've lost it twice. Losing it is way worse than building the capacity. Just, you gotta trust me on that one. Learn from my mistakes. They tried to grow externally without growing internally. If you're constantly chasing income but ignoring your capacity, you, my friend, are the problem. And that's actually really good news, because if you're the problem, you're also the solution. I talk about this all the time when I talk about radical responsibility. When I first started taking radical responsibility in my life, I felt, at first I was like, whoa, my gosh, everything's my fault. It felt really empowering to me, because if everything's my fault, it means I can fix everything. Radical responsibility will change your life. The fastest way to increase your income is not to chase more tactics. I'm going to say that 500 times till it gets through your head. It's to expand your nervous system's ability to hold more. When your body feels safe at a higher level, you will stop leaking opportunity. You will stop shrinking. You will stop misinterpreting activation as breakdown. And then your income is going to rise up to meet your capacity. If you prepare your body, your identity, and your structure before the income shifts, the income shift will feel normal when it comes. So let's start with the body. You absolutely positively cannot mindset your way out of a dysregulated nervous system. Okay, affirmations aren't going to cut it, babe. If your body is constantly overstimulated, more income is going to feel like danger. It literally will feel like it. And some of you who have never had this happen, and you can argue with me all you want, unless you've never made $200,000, $300,000, or $400,000 a month. If you've never done that, then you can't argue with me, because I have, and I felt this. It's the same as the feeling. I've never been chased by a bear, but it feels like the same as if I were being chased by a bear. That's how my body literally feels inside. So if your sleep is inconsistent, right? Fix your sleep first. If your sleep is inconsistent, your capacity right now is capped. You have high cortisol plus low sleep equals emotional reactivity. You will never scale in that state. If you want more income, write this down. Protect your sleep like revenue. Protect your sleep the same way you protect your revenue. Your sleep should be a priority for you. Some practical tips like no phone 30 minutes before bed, sleep in a dark room, have a consistent sleep window, prioritize sleep. Make it important to you because it is important, imperative even. You need to reduce artificial stimulation. Guys, lean in and pay attention. And some of y'all aren't going to like this, but it's very, very true. Some of you guys are trying to scale on caffeine and adrenaline alone. That's not capacity. That's borrowed energy. That's not real. That's not ATP in your body. That's not ATP is the energy source in your body, right? It's the currency of your body that makes you do everything. And if you don't have that part right, you can't do much. Some practical tips: reduce caffeine during growth phases. No doom scrolling first thing in the morning. No constant notifications. Stimulation is not productivity. You need to train your body to handle stress. If your body only experiences comfort, it panics under pressure. I'm going to say that again because you need to hear it. If your body only experiences comfort, it panics under pressure. This is a great lesson for raising children too, by the way. I'm just going to digress for 1 second because I can't help it. I just have to. I hope it's okay. If your children only ever experience comfort, you never let them be the loser. You never let them cry. You never let them skin their knee. You never let them have anything be hard. They will panic under pressure. You will raise weak losers, frankly. You just will. If you want to raise strong adults, you have to let them experience pressure. And so practically, what can you do to do this for yourself? Very simple. Do strength training. Pick things up and put them down 3 times a week. Cold exposure, cold plunges, breath work, longer exhales than inhales. Longer exhales tell your nervous system, it literally communicates to your nervous system, I am safe. If your body cannot stay calm under mild stress, it will not stay calm under financial expansion. The body is the foundation, but the identity is the container. Most people try and change their identity with thoughts. Okay? That's slow, guys. Your identity is not going to change with thoughts. I also like affirmations. I have them on my mirror, have them on my phone. I say them out loud, but that's the slow way. Identity shifts fastest through action. You do not become wealthy by thinking wealthy. You become wealthy by behaving wealthy. And so the reason why books like Think and Grow Rich are brilliant is, yes, it starts with thinking. Okay, we're here thinking now, right now, though, but you need to take some inspired action. You need to start behaving like a wealthy person, and then your brain will believe you. Identity is built through evidence. Your brain believes what you repeatedly demonstrate. If you're constantly doing these affirmations, I am rich, I am wealthy, I am abundant. Let's say those are your 3 wealth affirmations. But then after you're done with that, you go downstairs and you have to, go pay your bills, and you realize that you don't have enough money to pay your electric bill. Your brain is not going to believe you. It knows you're lying. It's not going to believe it's only going to believe what you repeatedly demonstrate, not what you repeat from your mouth. So if you want your nervous system to feel safe at a higher income level, you got to go and give it some evidence. And here's where you separate yourself. Here's where most people separate themselves, because wealthy identity, it's not flashy. Wealthy identity isn't a Louis Vuitton purse. Wealthy identity isn't driving in a Rolls Royce. Okay? It's structured. It's structured, and it's not sexy. Go get your will done. If you don't have a will, your nervous system knows. And 60% of you don't have a will. Why do I know that? Because 60% of Americans do not have a will. It knows that your family isn't structured. When you handle that, something shifts internally in your actual physiology, in your nervous system. You stop operating like someone hoping to win, and you start operating like someone who has something to protect. And that is identity. Review your contracts before signing them. When you stop signing blindly, when you verify before committing, You have probably all went and signed contracts blindly. And you might be like, oh no, Melissa, really? Did you sign your contract at the car dealership when you bought your car? Or did you have it checked by a lawyer? You sign things blindly, my friends, all the time. But when you verify before committing, you stop behaving like a consumer and you start behaving like an owner. And that action rewrites your identity. Protect your identity when you install identity protection, right? So ID Shield is part of Legal Shield. When you install identity protection, you're telling your nervous system, I protect what I build. That creates safety, and safety expands capacity. And by the way, I'm just going to digress for another second here because I was reading an article the other day about identity theft and AI. You're going to start seeing it on mainstream news like a lot. There people out there are building AI systems that are built to literally just mass do identity theft. And what you're going to start to see is identity theft at smaller levels. So you won't even notice it for a very long time. So because if you can do something little, if you can take $50 from 2 million people, you're better off. You're probably not going to get caught as easy as if you take $50,000 from 2 people. Does that make sense? Drop a yes if that makes sense. We're in an age where if you do not have a product like ID Shield in your life, you are just making poor decisions. Again, when you install identity protection, you're telling your nervous system, I protect what I build. And that creates safety. And safety expands capacity. Clean up your business structures if you have a business. Is your LLC structured properly? Have you met with a tax attorney? Put terms and conditions in place. Make sure your refund policies are clear. And have an actual lawyer look at that. When you do that, you move from side hustle chick energy to CEO energy. And your body physically feels it. You're rewriting your identity and your nervous system, the way your nervous system feels around those actions. Using a service like Legal Shield is not about legal help. Most people have got this so wrong. And I've only been here for like 4 months. It's been bugging me the whole time, wanting to talk like this and wanting to help people understand it because most people have it so wrong. It's not about having a lawyer if you go get a speeding ticket. Yeah, you can use it for that. But it's not about just legal help. It's about rehearsing the identity. Listen to this, hear this. It's about rehearsing the identity of someone who handles things correctly. And you don't currently live inside that identity, and yet you're trying to become someone who's wealthy or who makes more income. That does not match up. When you have access to legal advice, when you know you can ask before you act, when you stop guessing, you stop operating in a low-level stress space. Every time you act like someone at the next level, your nervous system upgrades. So can you go today and book a private flight to the Bahamas because you want to go down there for 2 days? No, probably not. But there are other ways, like what I'm talking about with Legal Shield, where you can next level your nervous system. You can give yourself a nervous system upgrade, which allows more space and capacity for income to come to you. Because whether you realize it or not, if you're working towards something to get yourself to that next income level, it's not coming, it's because of capacity. You are absolutely the problem. You are repelling it. And when you really get this, when you finally get it and you start taking inspired action, I'm telling you, it is literally like floodgates opening up. If you wait until you're making more money to clean things up, you will subconsciously cap your income. That's what most of you are doing right now because your identity isn't aligned yet. And here's the layer that most people completely ignore. They really think that mindset is enough, and it's not. Your nervous system feels safest when your life has structure. Structure reduces background stress. And background stress, what is all of you have in your life right now, quietly caps your income. You might not consciously think about this, but your nervous system tracks unresolved risk, unclear guardianship, unclear legal exposure, unclear rights, unclear protection, unfinished paperwork. That is silent stress in the background. It's background noise. And silent stress lowers capacity, and it is absolutely capping your income. So let's make this simple. If something happened to you tonight, is your family protected? Just breathe that in for a minute. If you have a family, you have children, if CPS showed up at your house tonight at 11 p.m., is your family protected? Can you put a lawyer on the phone within 90 seconds? Yes or no? If someone disputed something tomorrow, would you know what to do? If you signed a contract this week, did you actually understand it? And if not, did you have a lawyer review it? When you don't have answers to those questions, which if you're being honest with yourself, most of you on this call do not have answers to those questions. Your nervous system knows that. It may not scream, but it hums in the background. When your brain is tracking unresolved risk, it does not feel safe expanding because expansion increases exposure and exposure increases perceived risk. If you want more income, you first must reduce unnecessary risk. Having access to legal advice, it's not about lawsuits. It's about certainty. I have, and before Legal Shield, I had multiple lawyers on retainer because that provides me with access and certainty. When you know you can ask before you act, when you know you can review before you sign, when you know your family is structured properly, when you stop operating from low-level vigilance, that is capacity, and capacity attracts opportunity. This is why upgrading your infrastructure before you chase income is so powerful. You're telling your nervous system it's safe to grow. Let me say this clearly. If you grow your income without upgrading your capacity, you're going to create chaos. More money magnifies who you already are. So if you're living with background chaos, background noise, background stress, you're just going to magnify that with more money. If you're structured, it magnifies structure. This is why it's so important for the capacity upgrade to happen first. If you're reactive, it magnifies reaction. Preparation determines stability. Most people only focus on opportunity. Okay, there's two ways to increase income. You can increase capacity or you can increase opportunity, right? New offer, new strategy, new tactic. But the people who sustain growth increase capacity first. They pivot intentionally. And with me here, you have two ways to do that. If you're not structured, if you do not have access to legal advice, if you've been avoiding getting your will done, if you've been signing contracts blindly, start there. That's calm. That's capacity work. If you're already inside Legal Shield, take a deep breath right now. Use it. Because there are some people on this call who have access and have never used it. You're literally choosing not to increase your capacity, but expecting more money to come. That is irrational and it is illogical. Okay, you have access, use it. Act like the next level version of yourself. If you do not have access, if you don't have a membership, well, this is one of the lowest cost identity upgrades you can ever make. That's not hype, that's just a fact. If your infrastructure is strong, if your nervous system is regulated, if your identity is expanding, then you're ready for more opportunity. And that's where income grows. I build income in a super structured way. It's calm, it's duplicatable, it's scalable, but I do not build it on chaos. If you want to increase your income, do it prepared. There's a reason why people who join me in Legal Shield to make money, the first thing I tell them to do is go get their will done. Do you guys ever wonder if you're here and you're building with me, do you ever wonder why I told you to do that first? This is why. And if you didn't, then you're not good at listening to advice. Fix that. It's free. What are we talking about? If you remember nothing else from today, remember this. If you don't rise to the level of your goals, okay? You can write them down, you can do all the goal things, you can do the dream board, but you don't rise to the level of your goals. You rise to the level of your capacity. So here's your decision. Do you want more income, or do you want to become the kind of person who can hold more income? If you need to upgrade your infrastructure, you can absolutely talk to me. If you're ready to expand opportunity in a structured way, you can absolutely talk to me. Either way, you reach out to me. Most of you have my cell phone number. You have my messenger. I will tell you that messenger is a disaster. It's really mad at me. So some people can't even send me messages. I can't send some people messages. My cell phone number is the top of my Facebook page because I'm so done with messenger. You can text me. I will answer you. But either way, stop chasing income and start increasing capacity. I hope that that's what you're going to leave here today, with a decision to start increasing your capacity. Wealth is not loud, it's regulated. That's how you hold more. Right now, if you're here and you're not a member of Legal Shield, you can reach out to me. If someone else invited you, reach out to them and you can get a membership. You can get a membership for all the stuff I was just talking about for less than $40. That's what I meant. I told you it's the least expensive upgrade I've ever seen. And it's actually effective. I used to talk about the upgrade should be Victoria's Secret underwear. Because it's the only thing I could think of that made sense for them to actually physically go do. Like, instead of buying the 5 for 25 pair of cheap underwear, go buy the one pair for $25. That doesn't do a whole lot for your nervous system, but all the things I just explained to you actually literally physiologically will change the way that your nervous system is operating. If you are looking for more opportunity and that's something that you want to increase your income, you want to increase your capacity, you want to increase your income, and you want to do it at the same time, I can't recommend where Legal Shield more strongly. If you're looking for more, and I invited you here, I am actually enrolling today. I know many times I'm not enrolling. I am actually enrolling today and probably for the next 7 to 10 days. And I don't enroll often. I enroll only maybe a week or two out of the month, and then I stop and I work with my team and I help them build. It's all part of my calm, regulated way that I'm building this. You can reach out to me. And again, my messenger is crazy, sells at the top of the page. If someone else invited you here and they're already in Legal Shield, don't reach out to me, please. You're just going to create a mess. Reach out to that. I will have to end up moving you, and it's a whole situation. We got to call people, and it takes us longer to get going. So if someone else invited you here, reach out to them, and they will get you enrolled. They're all a part of my same. They get all the same trainings. They get all the same information. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm actually going to, let me fix this. Oh, there's people in the waiting room. Brandon, you're fired. I'm going to stop recording too. Okay, I'm going to stop recording.